Election season is heating up. It's December 1st, 2023, and these are your headlines. Wow, it's hard to believe we're already here. We're in December. We're almost at the end of the year. Pretty soon, we're going to have those Republican primary elections, the primary elections in March. And already things are really starting to heat up. Governor Greg Abbott is continuing his streak of endorsing against incumbent Republicans who helped kill school choice in the Texas House, endorsing Mike Olcott for the Texas House. Now, Olcott was the co-founder of Parker County Conservatives, and he's challenging State Representative Glenn Rogers in the Republican primary. Now, Representative Rogers was one of 21 Republicans who joined Democrats to help kill a school choice proposal in the Texas House earlier this month. School choice, of course, being, as we've said multiple times now, a top priority for Governor Greg Abbott, as well as a legislative priority for the Republican Party of Texas. The race is a rematch, though, as Rogers narrowly defeated Olcott in 2022. But here's the twist. During that election, Abbott endorsed Rogers. This time, however, Abbott says he is fully behind Olcott, especially after Glenn Rogers' vote against school choice. In a statement announcing his endorsement, Governor Abbott said Mike Olcott is a proven fighter who has spent decades giving his time and talent to advance our shared conservative values. Mike is a man of integrity who will help me deliver results in the Texas House. He's committed to securing our border, cutting property taxes, and empowering parents to choose the best education for their children. I am proud to endorse Mike Olcott, and I encourage everyone in House District 60 to join me in supporting Mike Olcott for state representative. Now, immediately after the announcement, Olcott said he's honored to have received Abbott's endorsement this time around, that he looks forward to working with them on securing the border and providing long overdue education freedom for the children of Texas. And with just days left in the legislative session in Austin, the special legislative session, the Senate is moving to pass a last-minute change to state law, which would expedite challenges to election contests in constitutional elections. Now, let me give you a little bit of background here. Okay, Senate Bill 6 by Senator Brian Hughes was filed today and moved quickly through committee today and passed today through the Senate within a matter of hours. They moved quickly. Now, the bill essentially would lower the time period following an election that a trial can be held from 180 days down to 50 days. It would also set a 30-day deadline for challenges to be heard by appellate courts and another 30-day deadline for challenges to be heard by the Texas Supreme Court. The bill would also create a new requirement that election appeals are filed no later than the 5th day following an election. Now, why shorten this timeline? Why expedite this? Well, the legislation is in response to a series of 6 lawsuits filed following the November constitutional election, which have challenged the results based on the certification of the voting machines used. The results of the election, including property tax relief, which was one of those constitutional amendments that voters passed, well, those cannot be certified by the governor until those lawsuits are resolved. So, Senator Hughes says because these constitutional amendments that were passed by the House and Senate and approved by the voters affect so many people, Senate Bill 6, his legislation, is an attempt to speed up the process for the election contest to be heard in court. He added that we are not attempting to change people's rights or take them away from them. We are giving them a quicker resolution to their claims. Now, while the issue is not on the current call for the special session, Governor Greg Abbott is reportedly prepared to add the issue if the Senate and the House can agree on legislation. After passing Senate Bill 6 today, the Senate adjourned till Tuesday. The House is also expected to come back Tuesday. The current special session ends on Wednesday, December 6th.
What have you been told all your life? That if somebody's a minority in the United States of America, they're a left-wing nutcase? CNN, MSNBS, they've all invested millions of dollars and tons of hours to convince you that if you're a minority in this country, you have to be a Democrat, you have to be a socialist, you have to be a communist. Well, the Salcedo Storm podcast destroys that narrative. There are a lot of folks out there who are quote unquote people of color who just look at themselves as Americans, who want to preserve this last best hope of mankind on the planet, which is the United States of America, and loves our Constitution, loves the rule of law because we know and understand what it means. So when you tune in to the Salcedo Storm podcast, that's what you're getting. Every single podcast, one way or another, we are dedicated to saving the United States of America as founded in the United States Constitution and destroying this narrative that, well, we Latinos are just all a bunch of left-wing nutcases.
Lastly, federal appellate judges will soon determine whether Texas can fully implement a new state law that would protect children from sexually explicit content in school libraries as the state fights a legal challenge by book vendors over regulations within the law. A 3-judge panel of U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals judges heard oral arguments Wednesday from attorneys on both sides. Book vendors want the judges to reinstate a preliminary injunction granted by a trial court, which would temporarily stop the state from enforcing the law. Texas, meanwhile, wants the appellate court, the Fifth Circuit, to extend its stay of the injunction, which would allow the state to begin regulating sexually explicit school library materials while the case is litigated. So on one hand, you have the publishers, distributors that are challenging the law. You have the state that is defending the law. Texas lawmakers passed House Bill 900, which is the center of the case, also known as the Reader Act. It stands for Restricting Explicit and Adult Designated Educational Resources. They passed that during this year's regular legislative session. State Representative Jared Patterson authored the bill in response to months of complaints from parents about age-inappropriate and sexually graphic books found in their children's campus libraries that school district officials refused to remove. The coalition of book vendors and publishers filed a lawsuit in July challenging the law as unconstitutionally vague and overbroad. Those plaintiffs claim that they will suffer, quote, irreparable injury if required to comply with the law's book rating system, which they say violates their First Amendment rights. The Fifth Circuit judges could rule at any time on the state's appeal of the preliminary injunction. You can check out that story and other stories from today at TexasScorecard.com.